Control your reactions, not your emotions. True manpower. There is a storm inside you. I know this, because there is a storm inside every man worth his salt. A howling gale of doubt, a bitter rain of fear, a crack of lightning that tells you are not ready, not good enough, not strong enough. This is the human weather, the ancient and unavoidable climate of the soul. The world, the modern world, it wants to teach you how to manage this storm. It offers you umbrellas of distraction, hollow shelters made of noise and glowing screens. It gives you raincoats of shallow affirmation, flimsy phrases that do nothing to keep out the cold. It tells you to wait until the weather clears, to medicate the thunder, to wait until you feel ready. And that is the great lie that has stolen the fire from a generation of men. A lie whispered, so often it has become a kind of gospel. The gospel of comfort, the gospel of waiting. They have taught you to listen to your feelings, to treat them as sacred oracles. I am here to tell you that your feelings are, very often, terrible guides. They are fickle. They are liars. They are echoes of a frightened child that still lives within you, a child who is afraid of the dark, afraid of the fall, afraid of the unknown. To let that child steer the vessel of your life is to condemn yourself to sailing in small, terrified circles. Forever, within sight of a shore, you will never have the courage to leave. The great work of a man is not to silence his feelings. That is the path of the hollow man, the brute, the man who turns to stone. No, the great work of a man is to control his reactions, to stand unmovable in the heart of his own inner storm, and from that place of stillness, to choose action over hesitation, to choose discipline over despair, to choose the path not because you feel ready, but because the path must be walked. This is the beginning of power, not the power that shouts, that postures, that needs to prove itself, but the power that is, the quiet, unshakable sovereignty of a man who has mastered the kingdom within, a man who is a source of his own weather. And that is a journey we will begin today. Don't run from the storm inside you. Learn to command the wind. We are born into a world of sensation, hot, cold, pain, pleasure. And from these sensations, emotions arise. They are the weather of the soul. But you must understand this, and you must understand it completely. The weather is not the mountain. Your emotions are not you. Think of it. Can you control the coming of a rain? Can you command the sun to shine, or the fog to lift on your command? No. To try is madness. To rage against the rain is the act of a child. It accomplishes nothing but to leave you soaked and bitter. The rain does not care, and so it is with your emotions. A wave of sadness may wash over you for no reason you can name. A tremor of anxiety may shake your hands before a simple task. A hot flush of anger may cloud your vision at a perceived slight. These are events. They are not you. They are happening to you, passing through you. Like clouds passing before the sun. The boy inside you believes he is the emotion. When sadness comes, he says, I am sad. When fear comes, he says, I am afraid. He identifies with the weather. He becomes the storm. And a man who is the storm is a danger to himself and to everyone around him. He is a ship without a rudder, tossed and broken by every passing wave. His joys are frantic and fleeting. His sorrows are bottomless pits. His anger a wildfire that consumes everything in its path. He is a slave to the weather. The first step to manhood, to real spiritual maturity, is to create a space between the feeling and the reaction. a sacred pause, a moment of profound silence, right in the heart of the noise. The wave of anger comes, and in that space you stand. You observe it. You feel its heat, its power. You honor it as a form of energy, but you do not obey it. You do not become its puppet. You do not lash out. You do not speak the words that the anger wants you to speak. You are the shore, and the wave breaks upon you. It may be violent, it may soak you to the bone, but it does not move you from your foundation. And then it recedes. It always recedes. This is not suppression. Suppression is building a dam. You push the feeling down. You deny it exists. You pretend you are made of stone. But the pressure builds behind that dam. The water of your unfelt rage, your unwept grief, your unspoken fear, it rises. And eventually, the dam breaks, and a flood of uncontrolled chaos wipes out the entire landscape of your life. We see this everywhere. In the quiet man who suddenly explodes. In the man who numbs himself with drink or screens or empty work, only to find the darkness has grown tenfold when he is finally alone. Detachment, observation, this is different. This is not building a dam. This is becoming the mountain. The mountain does not care about the weather. It is shrouded in fog, baked by the sun, lashed by blizzards, and yet it remains. It feels the weather, yes, but it is not defined by it. Its reality is deeper, heavier, more permanent than the fleeting drama in the sky. Your task is to become the mountain. When the feeling arises, you name it. Ah, there is anger. Hello, fear, my old companion. I see you, procrastination, you clever ghost. You greet it as you would greet a passing traveler. You acknowledge its presence without inviting it to stay forever. And in doing so, you separate yourself from it. You take away its power to command you. You are the host, not the hostage. This is the fundamental discipline, the tiny hinge on which the great door of a man's life swings. Before you can build anything of worth in the outer world, you must first establish this quiet rule within. You are the king of your inner kingdom, not the jester of your own emotions. Discipline. The word has been made ugly. We think of punishment, of rigid orders, of a joyless existence. This is a misunderstanding born of a culture that worships ease. The root of the word disciple is to be a student. Discipline, then, is the act of being a student of your own highest self. It is the process of learning to obey the man you wish to become, not the boy you once were. True masculine discipline is not about what you deny yourself, but what you give yourself. It is an act of profound self-respect. You don't wake up at dawn to punish yourself for being tired. You wake up at dawn to give yourself the gift of silence, the gift of a clear mind, the gift of a head start on the chaos of the day. You don't force yourself to exercise to punish your body for being weak. You exercise to give your body the gift of strength, the gift of vitality, the gift of a vessel that can carry you through the challenges of your life. Discipline is a creative act. It is the act of forging. Think of a blacksmith. He takes a lump of raw, shapeless iron. It is nothing. It has potential, but it is useless as it is. He does not beg the iron to become a sword. He does not wait until he feels like lifting the hammer. He does not ask the iron for its opinion. He builds a fire. He makes it unbearably hot. He subjects the iron to stress, to heat that would destroy a lesser thing. This is the necessary trial, the discomfort you seek to avoid. Then he places it on the anvil, and he begins to strike. Not once, not twice, but 1,000 times. He strikes when his arm is tired. He strikes when the sweat blinds his eyes. He strikes when he is bored of the striking. Each blow is an act of will. Each blow is a choice. Each blow is shaping the iron according to a vision he holds in his mind. He is teaching the iron what it is to become. He is burning away the dross, the impurities, revealing the hard, bright steel within. You are both the blacksmith and the iron. Your daily life is the forge. The small, seemingly insignificant choices you make are the hammer blows. Waking up on time. Keeping your word, especially to yourself. Doing the thing you said you would do, long after the mood you said it in has left you. Facing the uncomfortable conversation instead of running from it. Choosing the difficult, meaningful task over the easy, hollow distraction. These are the strikes that shape your character. They burn away the impurities, the softness, the part of you that wants to remain a lump of shapeless potential. They hammer you into something with an edge, with a purpose, with integrity. Something reliable, something real. Most men today want the sword without the fire. They want the strength without the struggle. They want the respect of others without first commanding respect from themselves. They want the harvest without having tilled the soil or planted the seed. It doesn't work that way. The universe does not reward potential. It rewards what has been forged. So, stop asking yourself if you feel motivated. Motivation is the fickle shadow of action. The fire does not light itself. You must strike the flint. The work does not begin when you are ready. The work is what makes you ready. The discipline you forge in silence is the weapon you will wield in the battles of your life. We must speak of fear, because it is the ghost that haunts the forge. It is the cold water that tries to douse the fire. It is the voice that whispers to the iron, "You will break. You will shatter. Stay as you are. It's safer here in the dark." Fear is an illusion, a powerful one, a convincing one, but an illusion nonetheless. It is a story you tell yourself about a future that has not happened. It is a memory of pain projected forward in time. It lives nowhere but in your own mind. It is a ghost haunting a house that hasn't been built yet. And the only way to dispel a ghost is to walk straight through it. History is filled with men who felt fear and acted anyway. Let me tell you a story, not of a king born to a throne, but of a scholar forced into command. His name was Xenophon, an Athenian, a student of Socrates, a man of words and ideas, not of war. He joined a massive Greek mercenary army, the 10,000, hired by a Persian prince, Cyrus, to seize the throne of the empire. Deep in the heart of Mesopotamia, 1,000 miles from the sea, they were victorious in battle. But in the moment of triumph, Cyrus was killed. Suddenly, their employer was dead. Their victory meant nothing. They were stranded, an army without a purpose, surrounded by a hostile, infinitely larger Persian force. The Persian king, Tissaphernes, invited the Greek generals to a parley under a flag of truce to negotiate their safe passage home. It was a trap. The generals were seized and executed. That night, a profound despair fell over the Greek camp. It was a living thing, a cold, heavy fog that seeped into every tent. They were leaderless, hopeless, in the belly of the beast. They knew they would all be hunted down and slaughtered at dawn. The fear was not an illusion then. It was a cold, hard reality pressed against their throats. And Xenophon, a mid-level officer, felt it as keenly as anyone. He lay in his tent, unable to sleep, consumed by dread. He wasn't a general. He wasn't a hero. He was a scholar. He was terrified. He saw their fate with perfect clarity: starvation, slavery, torture, death. He felt the cold grip of utter helplessness, the seductive whisper that told him to just lie down and let the end come. And then, in the pit of his despair, a thought arose. A simple, defiant question. Why am I lying here, waiting for death? The enemy has not yet attacked. The sun has not yet risen. Why am I surrendering to a fate that has not yet arrived? Why does no one do anything? And in that moment, he understood the great secret. Readiness is a myth. The hero is not the one who feels no fear, but the one who acts in spite of it. Courage is not an emotion, it is a decision. He got up. He forced his shaking legs to move. He lit a lamp. That small action was a rebellion against the darkness. He found the remaining captains, men huddled in their own private miseries. His voice, at first, must have trembled. But he spoke. He didn't offer empty hope. He spoke of logic, of strategy. He reminded them of their Greek blood, of their past victories. He spoke of possibilities, not of doom. His words, born of action, began to dispel the fog of their collective fear. His action created momentum. By refusing to surrender to his own despair, he became a light for others. They held an assembly. They elected new generals, Xenophon among them. And he, the scholar, led them. He guided the 10,000 on an epic march, north through brutal mountains, fighting off hostile tribes, through snow and starvation, all the way to the Black Sea and to safety. Xenophon did not wait until he felt brave. He did not wait for a sign. His courage was not the absence of fear. It was the decision that something else was more important. Survival, honor, duty. Action is the great slayer of fear. The moment Xenophon took that first step out of his tent, the ghost began to dissolve. The fear was still there, but it was no longer in command. He was. You are standing in your own tent of despair right now. Your fear is telling you to lie down, to wait. I am telling you to stand up, to take one step. Your great march to the sea begins with that single, defiant movement. The chains that bind a man are not always made of iron. The most powerful chains are forged in the mind. The belief in your own powerlessness. The acceptance of a narrative that someone else has written for you. To break these chains requires an act of will so profound it can remake the world. Consider the story of a young man named Frederick. He was born into the absolute zero of human freedom, American slavery in the 19th century. He was property. His body, his time, his labor, his very life belonged to another man. The entire system, legal, social, religious, was designed to convince him of one single, crushing truth. You are not a man. You are a thing. This is a fear beyond what most of us can comprehend. The fear of casual brutality, of being sold away from your family, of a life where hope itself is a dangerous contraband. This was his world. As a boy, he was sent to Baltimore, and his mistress, a woman new to the cruelties of slaveholding, began to teach him the alphabet. When her husband found out, he flew into a rage. And he said something that changed Frederick's life forever. He said that teaching a slave to read was unsafe and unlawful, for it would forever unfit him to be a slave. It would give him ideas. It would make him unmanageable. In that moment, hearing those words, the young Frederick understood. The man was revealing the secret of his own power. Knowledge was the pathway from slavery to freedom. The true chain was not his physical bondage. The true chain was his ignorance. The walls of his prison were not made of wood and stone, but of the alphabet he could not decipher. And so he resolved to learn. This was not a passive wish. This was a declaration of war. He had no teacher. He had no books. He had no time. So he made them. He tricked the poor white boys in the street into teaching him letters. He paid them with bread he had smuggled from his master's house. Every letter learned was a strike against his chains. It was a terrifying act of rebellion, which, if discovered, would result in a brutal beating or worse. He did it anyway. But knowledge alone was not enough. He was later sent to work under a man named Edward Covey, a slave breaker. A man whose job was to crush the spirit of any slave who showed a hint of defiance. For 6 months, Covey beat him, starved him, and worked him to the point of collapse. Frederick's spirit began to break. The light that had been kindled by knowledge began to flicker and die. He was sinking back into the belief that he was, in fact, a thing. One day, after a particularly vicious beating, something shifted. He lay on the ground, broken and bleeding, and he decided, no more. He was a man. He would not be treated as a beast. The next time Covey came to whip him, Frederick fought back. Imagine the terror of that moment. A slave striking his master. This was a death sentence. But for Frederick, living as a broken animal was already a kind of death. He fought Covey for 2 hours, a desperate, brutal struggle. And in the end, Covey gave up. He never laid a hand on Frederick again. Of that day, Frederick, who would later become the great Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist, the orator, the statesman, wrote this. It rekindled the few expiring embers of freedom and revived within me a sense of my own manhood. I was nothing before. I was a man now. He did not become a man when Covey stopped hitting him. He became a man the moment he decided to hit back. His freedom was not granted to him on that day. It was forged by him. His action, born of terror and desperation, transformed him. He walked through the ultimate fear and discovered his own soul on the other side. He proved that even when the entire world conspires to tell you that you are powerless, you possess a core of will that cannot be broken. You only have to choose to use it. You are not in chains, not like he was, but you have your own slave breakers, procrastination, self-pity, the addiction to comfort, the voice of the inner critic. They are all Covey, trying to break your spirit, trying to convince you that you are less than you are. You must fight back, not with rage, but with deliberate, courageous action. Your freedom, your very manhood, depends on it. So, we see it in the general. We see it in the slave. The lesson is the same. They did not wait for the feeling of readiness. They did not wait for motivation. Their action was the creator of their motivation. This is a law of the universe. It is the law of inertia, the law of momentum. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Most men live their lives as objects at rest. They are waiting for a push. They are waiting for a gust of inspiration to move them. They scroll through their phones, they watch videos, they read books, they consume, hoping to absorb enough motivation to finally get started. They are trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. They are waiting for the feeling to come first. And so they wait forever. You have it backwards. Motivation is not the cause of action. It is the effect. It is the child of action, not the parent. The desire to write the book comes after you have forced yourself to sit down and write a single, terrible page. The energy to work out comes after you have dragged your tired body to the gym and lifted the first weight. The confidence to speak to the woman comes after you have pushed the words out of your mouth, however awkwardly. The first act is the hardest. It is the striking of a cold iron. It requires the most will. It feels unnatural, like moving against a powerful current. But that first act creates a flicker of heat. The second act is slightly easier. It creates a little more heat. The third, a little more. And soon you have a fire. You have momentum. The iron begins to glow. The work begins to flow. The current begins to turn in your favor. This is why the small disciplines are so important. The act of making your bed in the morning is not about having a tidy room. It is about starting your day with a completed task. It is a tiny physical declaration that you are a man who does things, a man who brings order to chaos. You have created a small, positive momentum. You must stop negotiating with your own mind. Your mind is a coward. It wants comfort, it wants safety, it wants to avoid pain. It will always give you 1,000 very reasonable-sounding excuses not to do the hard thing. You're too tired. You can do it tomorrow. You're not ready yet. You'll probably fail anyway, so why bother? You must learn to treat this voice with the detached firmness of a wise father handling a frightened child. Acknowledge it, and then do the thing anyway. Act. Move. Even a small step. Your body is your ally in this fight. Your mind will lie to you, but your body will not. Put your body in motion. Put on your running shoes. Sit in the chair where you do your work. Pick up the phone. The physical act short-circuits the endless, paralyzing debate in your head. Action is the enemy of thought. And for a man trapped in the prison of his own overthinking, action is the only key that will ever open the door. Stop waiting for the muse to sing. You are the one who must make her sing by the force of your own deliberate movement. And what is the result of all this? This inner work? This forging? This constant choosing of action over hesitation? It is the cultivation of presence. Have you ever been in a room with a man who has it? He is not the loudest man. He is often the quietest. He does not need to boast or perform. He does not seek attention, because the deepest part of him already has his own. But when he speaks, people listen. When he enters a room, the energy shifts. There is a weight to him, a gravity. This is not a trick. It is not a technique you can learn in a weekend seminar. It is the natural radiance of a man who is at peace with the storm inside him. He is not fighting himself. He is not at war with his own emotions. He has an integrated soul. His center is solid, and he moves from that center. He has mastered the art of indifference. This is not the indifference of the nihilist, who claims nothing matters. That is a cheap imitation, a coping mechanism of the weak, a sour grapes philosophy of a man who has given up. This is the indifference of the king. The king is not indifferent to his kingdom. He is deeply, profoundly committed to it. He is committed to its health, its growth, its protection. But he is indifferent to the petty squabbles in the marketplace. He is indifferent to the gossip of the court. He is indifferent to the opinions of those who would see him fail. His attention is a resource too precious to be squandered. His energy, his focus, his life force, these are his crown jewels. He does not squander them. He directs them, with conscious intent, toward what is important. The rest he lets go. It flows past him like water around a stone. You must become the king of your own life. You must choose what deserves your energy. The insult from a stranger on the internet? Indifference. The small mistake you made yesterday? Learn from it, then indifference. The desire to check your phone for the 10th time in an hour? Indifference. The political outrage of the day, designed to capture your mind? Indifference. Your work, your health, your family, the development of your character, your spiritual path. These are your kingdom. Pour all of your energy into these things. Guard them fiercely. This power of presence comes from no longer needing anything from the outside world. You do not need their validation because you have validated yourself through your discipline. You do not need their approval because you approve of the man you are building. You do not need them to calm your fears because you have learned to walk through fear on your own. You become a source of strength rather than a seeker of it. You command respect quietly because you respect yourself. This is the state of the unmoved man. He is not unfeeling. He feels everything, perhaps more deeply than others. But he is not moved by everything. He is the rock, and the world is the stream that flows around him. He chooses his direction, and he holds his course. The path I have laid out is not easy. It is a lifetime of work. There will be days you fail, days the storm overwhelms you, days the voice of fear screams so loud you cannot ignore it, and you stay in your tent. That is part of the journey. The goal is not perfection. Perfection is for statues. The goal is the return. The goal is to notice you have fallen and to stand up again. To notice you have been swept away by emotion and to find your center again. To notice you have been idle and to take one small action again. That is where the forging happens. Not in the absence of failure, but in the response to it. The world does not need more boys lost in the storm of their own feelings. It has plenty of those. It needs men. Men who have been through the fire and have not been consumed. Men who can stand steady when the ground shakes. Men who can be a source of order in the midst of chaos, a harbor for others in a turbulent world. This power is your birthright. It is the ancient inheritance of manhood, but it must be earned. It must be forged, day by day, choice by choice, in the quiet moments that no one else sees. Control your reactions, not your emotions. Let action be the antidote to your fear. Stop waiting until you are ready. Start forging.